Well, hello everyone. I am starting out with this LOL cutout paper that is 7 inches by 5 and 5/16. And then I'm going to have this gray Martha Stewart paper that is 7 3/4 by 10 3/4. So this has got a lot of scoring in it, but once you see what it comes out, how it comes together, you'll see that I think it's worth it. And it doesn't take that much time once you get it down. So this is the diagram, and I recommend that if you do choose to do this, to definitely pull this up because it will help everything. So on the long 10 3/4 side, you're going to want to score it at 3/8 of an inch. Then you're going to want to score it at 1 3/8 of an inch. And then 1 3/4 of an inch. And then 2 3/4 of an inch. And I don't know why I said it on the 10 3/4 side. It really doesn't matter because you're gonna turn your paper and you're gonna score that on all 4 sides, those 4 measurements. So once again, 3/8 of an inch, and then 1 3/8 of an inch, and so forth. All 4 of those measurements you're going to do on all 4 sides. But that's not it. Then you're gonna start at the short side, and you're going to look at your score lines, and from the 1 across and the 2 across, we're going to look at that second score line. So from the second score line, we're going to score at 3 1/8, and we're only going to score that down towards the second score line. So I'm going to take that 3 1/8 and score right down to that second score line. And then once I have that line, I'm going to go right on over and do one more measurement at 4 5/8 and score that right down to that second score line. And since I did that on one side of the paper, I'm going to turn it right on over to the other short side of the paper and do those 2 measurements one more time. Three 1/8, right down to that second score line, and 4 5/8, right down to that second score line. Now I am done with the short side of the paper. Now I'm going to rotate over to the long side of the paper, and I'm going to go down to the 4th score line. So I'm just going to pull it up so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So right down to that 4th score line, I'm going to make 2 more measurements just like I did on the other one. So this time I'm going to look at 2 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to score right down to that 4th score line on 2 1/4, and then I'm going to go over to 8 1/2, 8 1/2, and score right down to that 4th score line. And then once again, I'm going to turn my paper and do the same thing. I do the same thing, those 2 measurements right there on that long side. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm just looking at my little diagram that I showed you earlier, and I am just going to draw out so it's easier for me to cut to make sure that I'm not cutting anything wrong. I am going to draw out the exact cut lines that I'm going to need to do. So I won't cut out anything that wasn't supposed to get cut out. And And so basically that X part is everything that's going to get cut out. And as you can see, it was a lot of scoring, but once I get it all diagrammed out, it's not that hard. See, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, that same pattern. I'm going to repeat there and then cut everything out. So as you can see there, I cut it out and I did the same thing on all four sides. So the only thing left to do is just to go ahead and fold all my score lines all together there. And once I get that all scored and folded, I am going to go ahead and take my little scissors and cut out these little flaps on all four sides so that it's ready to fold. And then on the other two sides. And then once I get that, I'm ready to fold it all up together. Now, once you get it folded, you start folding it together. It pretty much comes together. Now, the only thing I don't have a good explanation of is the right way to glue it all, because I want it to be sturdy and use the score tape, but every which way that I was doing it, it wasn't holding the way I wanted it until I really scored it down really good on the ends and then ended up using the wet glue on the top. So I'm not going to confuse anybody and show the way that I did it, but just know that I ended up using a lot of glue. So I folded in the two sides and then glued in the flaps, and then I ended up using score tape on an inside flap there and then on the other inside flap, but then I also ended up, like I said, gluing on the side. So, but to each its own. Just know that I know that it's going to be sliding in and out, so I guess I can say that more glue is better to make sure that it holds really good. As you can see there, how that's coming apart. And so I think here is where, yeah, I've got it all nice and protected and glued, and it came together. And I had some extra glue on the side there. So now I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to go over to my designer paper and my print paper. And then on the 7-inch side, we only have to worry about 4 scores on this one. So we're going to do it 1 1/2, and then 2 1/2, and then 4 13/16. So with this one, what I did was I used the little half points, and then I ended up taking my paper over and then going down and scoring in a real score point, if that makes sense. So I counted over and then scored where there's not a line at to make a 13/16, and then used the one of the groove lines to actually score it in. So then I folded everything together. So 1 1/2, 2 1/2, 4 13/16, and 5 13/16 were the 4 scores that needed there. I'm not sure if I said those last couple. And then it should just fold together and be able to, now I'm just prepping it to make sure that it's gonna go in good, and then just slide it in. So then I was ready to tape once I was sure. So I just taped it over, put a line of score tape there, and it slides right on. And you got your little hand cream. It slides right in there, and you have your little custom gift. So I am glad that I went and got these when they were on sale. And these make cute little gifts. So now I'm just showing how I decorated it. I mean, this could easily just be, after all that, you could easily just throw a tag on here. But I did cut out a die set. I used this Sizzix die. This was a stamp, an embossing folder, and die set that came, I think I got that on clearance at Hobby Lobby a while back. And I just die cut that out and then put it on a black background, and I just love how that turned out. And then here is another one. I just wanted to show how I decorated that. But I hope you enjoyed this, and see you later, Craftinista.